Hi, friends. Alex and I have had a crazy year, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well. So, in keeping with the theme of roller coaster of emotions, we're super excited to announce that I'm pregnant. Yay! It's sad that we can't share this with you in person, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to use YouTube as a way to share the journey to parenthood with you guys here. So, how we found out, I took a pregnancy test back in November and scheduled an appointment for 8 weeks as the internet suggested. And in December, went to my appointment and had a little shock that I was actually only 6 weeks along. And so that was my first lesson in pregnancy counting. The standard rule is that you start from the first day of your last period and not from the point of conception. So the medical community generally uses the 28-day golden cycle, and I didn't have that. So it was honestly a very emotional setback for me. It definitely made me feel insecure about sharing about the pregnancy because we were so excited to get to week 8 and, cross some milestones. The doctor did find a heartbeat, which was super exciting to hear. And that's definitely one of the first things that they tell you to look out for, which decreases the chances of miscarriage. So we're super excited, but super guarded at the same time. So it was a special moment for Alex and I to kind of share on our own for a few weeks, since neither of us really wanted to tell people yet. We opted into a no ask, don't tell policy. So if no one asked us, we didn't tell anyone unless there was some kind of safety concern. The biggest question that I get is, when is our due date? So right now it's the last week of July in 2021. Super, super excited to have a summer baby. The second question that I get often is, am I feeling morning sickness? I'm definitely feeling symptoms of pregnancy, but I think so far I've been pretty lucky. I feel very full often when I'm eating, which I didn't read about or hear about from anyone. So that caught me off guard a little. I basically will have a normal size meal, like pre-pregnancy meal, and feel incredibly full, like Thanksgiving full, to the point where I have to stand up and, pace and stretch, and just feel so uncomfortable. Not nauseous, but just incredibly full. Had I known, I might have changed some things, but right now I just try to load my plate up a lot less than usual, and I eat a lot slower. So growing up in a restaurant and just, having two brothers in life, I eat very quickly, and so does Alex. So I think that was one of the biggest adjustments for me, to kind of slow down and really take into consideration when I was getting full, and really just stop eating. Another symptom that I've experienced from pretty much day one is bloating. Sometimes it's super extreme. Sometimes I look like I have a baby bump. I'm currently 9 weeks and I should not be showing, and I'm not showing, but I will be so bloated sometimes that it looks like I'm halfway through my pregnancy just within a few hours. So I did learn that a real baby bump, or when you pop, occurs usually at the end of the first trimester, and it happens when your little baby outgrows the space in the pelvis, which is the space between your hips, and then it actually rises up into your stomach area and comes out. So that's why people actually experience a almost overnight bump situation. So I'm super excited about that. It hasn't happened yet, but maybe in a couple of weeks. Another symptom that I have experienced a lot is being queasy. But I haven't thrown up from being pregnant so far, so I would consider myself super lucky. Probably about 80% of women allegedly experience morning sickness, and I definitely feel queasy if I haven't eaten. So I try to eat pretty often. So really small meals, like I'll still do my 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then I'll try and add maybe 2 half-sized meals as snacks, like throughout the day as well, maybe before dinner and then maybe after dinner, or I'll just snack on fruits and stuff. And it's really helped. I think in week 6, 7, and 8, I was really struggling. And if, I lost track of time while I was working, or, was just out and about and I didn't eat, I would feel so sick and never got to the point where I thought I would throw up, but it was just exhausting. And that was definitely really tough. My doctor said that pregnancy hormones peak around week 10, which I'm close to. So that should technically be over soon. But honestly, since I've, managed the eating situation to, every few hours, I really haven't felt bad. Lightheadedness is another symptom that I've felt pretty often since day one. The pregnant woman's body gains roughly 50% more blood volume throughout the pregnancy. And as a result, a lot of things change. Your heart rate goes up. So I tracked my resting heart rate the other day and it was 80 beats per minute, which I did not realize was normal. So that was a surprise. And then I believe your blood pressure goes down a little, and every time I get up from laying down, I am definitely a little bit lightheaded. So one of the things that I've just had to remember to do is kind of sit up first, hang out for a minute, and then get up slowly, just so I don't black out, which happens a little, not to the point where I'll faint, but I'll have the vision blackout, which is a little bit scary. Another symptom that I've experienced that I definitely knew was coming was exhaustion. I have felt pretty tired since the beginning, but coming into week 8 and 9, I think it really picked up a lot. It's just uncontrollable exhaustion, just sitting around. Maybe when I'm hungry, I get more tired, and it'll lift a little if I've eaten, but sometimes I'm just so exhausted that I just close my eyes and I'm immediately asleep. And I'll take 15-minute naps, or I'll just sleep for, even 2 hours and wake up again. And I think that's just facts of life. So I'm just dealing with it for now. It's really nice that we're on Christmas break, so I can kind of take advantage of that. And hopefully, as many say, in the second trimester, I'll get a lot of that energy back. So I'm hoping that's the case. So a lot of people have asked about dietary changes and restrictions that come along with pregnancy. I really haven't changed that much, with the exception of obviously not drinking any alcohol, and then also not drinking coffee. You're allowed to have coffee, so it's not considered dangerous for the baby, but they do give you a limit. There's some milligram level of caffeine that they say that you should stay under every day. And for me, that was kind of more stressful than I wanted it to be. So I just decided not to drink coffee. I switched to caffeinated tea, which is probably half the caffeine content per cup. So I know that I won't have any issue even if I have 2 to 4 cups of tea. It's not going to go over the caffeine amount. As many of you know, I eat a lot of eggs. So I cook them more thoroughly than I did before. I make sure that both top and bottom of egg is cooked, and I try to keep the yolk a little bit runny, but sometimes I'm not that successful. So that's probably one of my biggest changes. And then, there are a couple of other things like eating raw fish. I don't do that anymore. Rare meat. I've been trying to steer clear of, but sometimes Alex fights that opinion a little, but it's been fine so far. I think the risks are pretty low. So our philosophy is if it's a quality food, then I'm not too concerned, but we'll see as we go along. So there have been a couple of apps that I've used from the very beginning that have been super helpful for me to track my period when we first started trying, and also now as I'm pregnant. The first app that I used was called Glow. It's an app that basically helps you define your fertility week and also allows you to log information about yourself and how you're feeling and what's going on. And it is very detailed and it gives you a really good idea of how to kind of understand like the fertility cycle. It does take several months of information and logging before it can give you a more of an accurate count. What was also nice is that once I did, tell the app that I was pregnant, it offered me its sister app called Nurture, which is similar in that it allows you to track information and such as like morning sickness symptoms, whether you took your prenatal vitamin, how much water you've consumed, what your weight is at the time. It can also add reminders and stuff for your doctor's appointment. And then it also gives you information week to week about how your baby is doing and what it looks like and, its size. And I think the biggest benefit of the Nurture app compared to the other ones, which I'll talk about later, is that there's a ton of community. There will be plenty of articles, and then the comments are just plentiful. There's, people using it all over the world, and they just insert information about, how they're feeling or, their own anecdotes as it pertains to the article. What really helped me the most in feeling safe and, confident about my pregnancy is hearing that how other people were experiencing the same symptoms. The other app that I use is called Bump. A lot of people use it. I think it's where the fruit mania came about. It's really fun to just see. So I'm currently my baby is currently at the size of a cherry, and it's really just like the cutest thing. The app also offers a lot of information on a week-to-week basis, and it's super helpful. I usually use that app maybe once a week, whereas the Nurture app I use almost daily to log and all of that. Another app that it's a website. I use a website called What to Expect. That website has a lot of information about development of the embryo and what's going along or what's happening during that week. I like the website a lot because it's super informative, but also I like to read it on a browser because there is so much information, and I don't really need 3 apps on my phone telling me that I'm pregnant. So I like to keep that on my desktop. Some people have asked about maternity clothes, which I think is one of the most exciting parts of pregnancy for me so far. I haven't really bought anything, but I don't know what it is. I just really love the idea of maternity clothes, and I use Rent the Runway sometimes, and I've always looked at their stuff that they have on their website. I think it's so cool that they have trimester filters and stuff like that. I haven't signed up for it yet, but I think that is something that I will do once I'm probably in my 3rd trimester. I don't really want to buy a ton of stuff. It just seems like very wasteful for such a short amount of time to buy all this crazy stuff, especially since we live in New York City and I have limited closet space. But I have purchased 2 pairs of maternity leggings. It's a little premature, but honestly, I already started wearing a pair because of the aforementioned bloating. On days when I'm just feeling enormous, it feels really nice to have the fabric that can stretch over your stomach and not be digging in and making me feel worse than, nothing is worse than a pair of jeans and digging into your stomach. And I think as many of you can relate to during COVID, why am I wearing jeans anyway? But maternity leggings are amazing. So I've bought a couple of pairs. Another thing that I've bought that I'm really excited about, which I didn't think about until I got pregnant and noticed all of the social media ads that I get now, is a baby book. They sell baby books that are kind of like pre-formatted, that offer you questions that you can fill out as you go along. But I didn't really love that, and I liked the idea of just like coming up with my own stuff. And I can maybe refer to one just to see what kind of questions they have, but I really wanted to kind of make it my own. So I bought the binder from Muji, and it comes with these pieces of paper that you can insert in. It's like it's instead of 3 rings, it's like 10, so it just like looks really cool. And I also gave in and bought washi tape, which I don't know if you know it, but it's this thing that like some bullet journal people use to kind of like make their paper look fancy. And it's been a really great way for me to be able to include my sonogram photos. And like I used these pregnancy tests that didn't have the plastic like casing. So I was able to actually tape the pregnancy tests that I used into the book as well. I don't know if that's gross or not, but that's what I want to keep for now. So I have that, and I think as we go, we'll like think of prompts, and maybe I'll have Alex also fill out a page or two to kind of commemorate our experience as the pregnancy goes along. Another question that I've gotten, especially from family, is whether or not I will have a baby registry. It's an interesting question as COVID has gone on. I have felt gatherings to be super scary and dangerous, and I think Alex and I have definitely erred on the side of caution with regard to meeting with people and friends in the last few months, especially since I learned I was pregnant. So, with the information about vaccines coming out and all, I'm not sure that I want to have a baby shower, at least in the traditional sense, but I think we have some time to see whether or not if majority of New York gets vaccinated and the numbers go down and we feel it's safe, maybe we'll do something outdoors. Like I said, summer baby, it might work out. But if it doesn't, the last thing that we would want is to put people at risk to, have a baby shower. That's like totally unnecessary. But that said, I did start compiling a Google spreadsheet of things that I would potentially want to buy for the baby. And I've collaborated with some mom friends. And I think the theme is minimalist items that we would definitely need. And if at all possible, I would love to get those items from friends, whether it's like buying them from friends, loaning them from friends, family, keeping this the most sustainable like that we can. Just like with maternity clothes, newborns and babies, outgrow everything and will definitely not be able to use those things for very long. So that's kind of like the idea, like no new things as necessary, and hopefully that will work out. We'll see once this thing gets rolling, but for now that's the philosophy. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Kathleen and Tara, who have been my mom support group from day one. And, I think they've answered every single question that I could have possibly had, and some hysterical moments too that I don't know what I would do without them. So thank you guys so much. And, I think even before this baby is born, the idea that it takes a village is so important and real for me and for Alex and for our family. And I think it's despite COVID, something that I'm gonna rely heavily on, the village that like we've built together. So Alex and I are both really sad that we can't share this amazing news with all of you in person, but thank goodness for YouTube. And I look forward to sharing more information with you guys. Obviously, ask me any questions if you want. I think hopefully I've answered most of the common ones, but if you have anything else you want to know, send me an email, text. I don't know how YouTube messages work, but you can send those too if they exist. And bye for now.